The floorboards groaned under David's feet. Dust motes danced in the weak light, filtering through grimy windows. His new apartment was old, smelled faintly of mildew, and echoed with an unsettling silence. He shivered, already regretting his decision to move in. He set down a box, its contents rattling ominously. The bathroom, with its chipped tiles and rust-stained sink, was particularly unsettling. An ornate, tarnished mirror hung above the sink, its glass cloudy with age. David avoided its gaze. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something was watching him. He unpacked mechanically, each creak of the floorboards, each rustle of packing paper, amplifying the unsettling silence. He was truly alone, or was he? As the day wore on, David felt an unnerving presence, a coldness that seemed to emanate from the bathroom. He tried to ignore it, telling himself it was just the unfamiliar surroundings playing tricks on his mind. But deep down, a seed of unease had been planted. Late that night, brushing his teeth, David finally caught his reflection in the mirror. He froze. His reflection was a beat behind, mimicking his movements with a disconcerting delay. He stopped, heart pounding. The reflection continued brushing for a moment before halting too. David cautiously raised a hand, his breath catching in his throat. The reflection mirrored him, the movement sluggish, almost hesitant. He quickly looked away, his heart throbbing against his ribs. Had he really seen that? He told himself it was just the flickering bathroom light playing tricks on his eyes. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling of dread that now clung to him like a shroud. The following days were a blur of paranoia and sleepless nights. Each time David dared to glance at the mirror, he found the reflection behaving more erratically. Sometimes it wouldn't mimic him at all, instead staring back with an unsettling, knowing smirk. Other times it moved independently, its mouth forming silent words, its eyes gleaming with malice. He tried to rationalize it, to dismiss it as stress-induced hallucinations. But the evidence was becoming irrefutable. He was trapped in a waking nightmare. He tried covering the mirror with a sheet, but the feeling of being watched only intensified. The temperature in the apartment plummeted, the air growing thick with a palpable sense of dread. David felt a constant chill, a ghostly touch grazing his skin whenever he was near the bathroom. There was something sinister lurking behind the glass, something toying with him, something that wanted out. Driven to the edge, David decided to confront his tormentor. He stood before the mirror, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. "What do you want?" he choked out, his voice barely a whisper in the oppressive silence. The reflection smiled, a slow, chilling spread of lips that didn't reach its eyes. It raised its hand, its fingers pressing against the surface of the mirror, mimicking David's position. But instead of cold glass, David felt an unnatural warmth. Then the world dissolved into a dizzying swirl of light and shadow. David gasped, a scream trapped in his throat as he felt a searing pain, a feeling of being pulled, stretched and compressed. He glimpsed his reflection one last time, its smile triumphant, its eyes filled with an alien hunger. Then everything went black. When David awoke, he was staring into the mirror once more. He looked the same, felt the same, yet something was terribly, irrevocably wrong. He tried to scream, but only a choked gasp escaped his lips. His reflection smiled, a chillingly familiar smile, and raised a hand, waving slowly. David was trapped, his reflection now the master of his fate.